Welcome back, nerds. How are you doing? I am Larry Brantley. I'm sitting across, as always, from Micah Donahoe.
Hello.
And Brent Williams, who just doesn't say anything, even though it's an audio-only podcast.
Hello.
Oh, my God. Every single time. Yeah, we call him Short Bus Brent. But anyway, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed our two-parter on 80s tech. We certainly had a good time doing that one. And, of course, we have another fun topic to beat into the ground this week. But first, a little housekeeping, as we always do. Please go out to our website, Nerdherfers.com. You can subscribe to receive communications from us there. You will also get notified when a brand new episode drops. We have merch for sale, which I believe we talked about that in the last episode or two, or however many it was that we did at 80s Tech. And we actually have some pretty cool merch from our website that we are going to be using to imbibe whatever delicious liquor that Brent brought tonight. So that's going to be exciting. So yes, please go. Yes, Micah is showing, is Vanna Whiting the merchandise to people who cannot see it.
I love it.
So thanks, Micah.
Well, it's
wonderful
it's a whiskey
tumbler.
glass.
It is a whiskey glass.
It's a whiskey glass.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's got the Nerdherfers logo. The logo on it.
It's got a logo on it.
got a
That's what we
logo
got.
on it.
What
Yeah.
we have in Texas.
Is that
We're
220
called
or 221, whatever it takes. I don't know.
We're still in Alabama, actually.
Anyway, we are beginning to grow the Nerdherfer community. If you're a part of it, thanks so much for being a part of it. We actually have some folks flying overhead right now in an old prop plane that we think are fans of the show because they show up every damn week.
Oh, they're waving. They're waving.
They're waving.
Hi, guys.
Wait,
Good
what
to
are they
see you
dropping?
again.
What are they dropping? What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, free booze.
It's a bunch of no.
Ouch.
It's a bunch of flyers that say, "Shut up! We can hear you in the next county." All right. Any old who.
The share post.
The share post,
Instagram.
yeah. Brett, since you created that, I like you talk
Well,
about
it's
it.
easy to find. If you go to our Instagram page, there's a post on there that's 80s Tech. It's easy to find. Like that post, share that post with your friends, and then comment done on that post. And also follow us. And then when we hit a certain number, we're going to do a giveaway, some free merch.
And
So-
who doesn't love free merch?
Who doesn't love free
I love
merch?
free everything.
You know who? Communists. That's who.
Damn Reds.
If we were selling beets or toilet paper, they'd be all over that damn website.
You commie. You read.
You read? All right. Well, okay, so you guys know the drill. Every week, these three middle-aged dudes get together to talk about cigars and whiskey and all of the nerdy shit that we loved when we were kids. That is basically what this show is all about. And so every week, each of us picks either the cigars we're going to smoke, the whiskey we're going to drink, or the topic of conversation that we are going to beat into the ground. Looking your way, Mr. Donahoe, because this was your week to pick the stick.
It is, and I'm so very excited because you two, the audience doesn't know, but you two know exactly what it's going to be because I'm going to start reading the description that I am so happy. I put this together.
I will try to keep my tongue in my head.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Okay. Created by former Deadwood Tobacco Company owner Vaughn Boyd. Online resources have mixed reports of the construction of this cigar. So normally on the show we have the wrapper, the filler, and the binder defined and you know exactly what you're going to get. Online is a complete mystery and contradiction. So just so that's said. Drew Estates website gave no details. Some say the filler and the binder are manufacturers' trade secrets. Like if you go all over the net, you'll find this. It'll say either trade secrets, it's just like completely blacked out.
I bet the conspiracy cigar theorists are all over this.
Oh yeah, totally. And others are saying that
Did I say conspiracy?
yeah, conspiracy.
Conspiracy cigar enthusiasts.
And we haven't
will be
even
all over that.
started the brown liquor.
No, we haven't.
I love it.
I'm not
Well,
sure I've sobered up.
We
from
don't
the
know.
last
I was going to say,
episode.
we don't know if he started before he came here or not.
Okay, so
Pretty sure.
others, by the way, say the filler and the binder are both Nicaraguan. One thing that everybody agrees on is the dark, oily Maduro wrapper. From the Yummy Bitches line, I present to you
Is that why you picked
the
this?
Fat Bottom Betty.
The Fat Bottom
I
Betty.
knew this was
Here we
coming.
go.
Here we go. Yep.
This was definitely coming.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks for being all about a team player there,
So
Brent.
I had to build that up, and the audience should know that that this is one of my all-time favorites.
It is indeed the Fat Bottom Betty. And did you notice how neither Brent nor I gave away the surprise?
I was really
because
happy.
We know
with
how
it.
much you dislike it.
You do,
when we
and you
rain
don't
on your
say
parade.
anything. And the audience
Brent,
can't
on the other hand, can't wait to step
I
on
know.
your thunder.
The audience can't see my face every time. Like I'm in the middle of my build-up, and then
I
I'm
didn't
like,
say a word.
damn it,
I didn't
guys!
say a word.
And I'm like, guys, stop! Stop!
Stop saying words with your face.
Why are you mean to me?
You can eat those tots.
Shut up.
So I just wanted to say and thank you for letting me get through that.
That's
But I
nice,
hope
yummy.
you enjoy this, and because I started doing a little bit more research, because I just sit and smoke. It's like, hey, what do you like about the Fat Bottom Betty? Well, I don't know. Shit tastes good.
Well, a lot of times that's really all you need, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would not call any of us cigar snobs
No.
by any stretch of the imagination. We've acquired a little bit of knowledge only because we're nerds, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
But I agree. You like what you like.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you and all of the people, all 7 of them by this point, listening, that I have never had this cigar before.
What?
I've never had it.
Oh my
It's a
God, that
good
makes me
cigar.
very excited.
So I'm very much looking forward to it. I know the entire story of the Deadwoods. I know about the big shop they have up there. I think it's in Sturgis, right?
Yes.
Where the big riot is every year.
Originally, yes.
Yeah, that's the original. So I know the story. My buddy Hector Laya, who is a cigar rep for CLE and Iroa and Asylum, has told me all about the Deadwood series. So because he is a cigar enthusiast and not a snob at all. So I'm going to get to cutting here because it looks like I'm falling behind.
Oh, no big deal. What I was going to say, in addition to that, was that I actually found a resource online that said that this cigar is not infused.
Is that right?
They just say that it's aromatic tobaccos
Okay.
mixed with the Maduro
Well, I
oily
have
wrapper.
been
But it has
very
such a sweetness to
misinformed.
it.
It does. So I'm going to say that I disagree with that asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you think it is infused?
I mean,
I think
not
at least the
natural.
Maduro wrapper is infused.
Because
Please-
when I
yeah.
worked in the industry, we did keep these in the flavored section, and our product manager is definitely a snob.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, if he had had his way, he wouldn't have even had the flavored and infused cigars
Yeah.
in the same humidor. He would rather have them in their own little space in the corner. But that's where all the Deadwoods were kept. The Fat Bottom Betty, the
Acids,
the,
tobacco.
the sweet
Yeah.
Sweet
Laurentide.
Jane, the Crazy Alice.
Oh, the rest of the yummy bitches.
All of the rest of the yummy bitches. Yes, indeed.
And that is the official. By the way, that is the official name of that series. It started off with Fat Bottom Betty. Actually, it started off with Sweet Jane, then Fat Bottom Betty.
Is that right? I thought this one was first.
The more I read on it, the owner had an article online that talked about the release as it came out, and he does a nice little paragraph. I encourage you to go to the website and read it. It's a nice little read. I don't need to read it here, but it's got a nice little read on it, and it talks about how Sweet Jane was the first, Fat Bottom Betty was the second, and then Crazy Alice was the third, and then after that is Leather Rose.
Leather Rose, that's right.
And then the latest one that just came out to join the line is The Girl with No Name,
oh.
which I wasn't crazy about.
Well, thank you for your honesty. Can we get these going?
Oh,
Yeah,
we
let's go.
should smell.
Oh, yeah,
We good?
I've been smelling. Ooh,
Cold draw.
that is sweet on the end there.
it is. Yeah, and that kind of actually goes away a little bit after a while once it heats up.
Yes.
Okay.
I've had plenty of these because Micah actually introduced these to me a couple years ago. I will tell you
That
they
is-
pair well with bourbon.
It does.
Yeah.
Which makes me, of course, very happy.
That is there's no way you can convince me that at least
Yeah.
the wrapper is not.
I
infused.
know.
It's just entirely too sweet to be naturally flavored.
Exactly.
So,
But
not that there's anything wrong with that.
But I will say,
But I literally did my cold draw, and I was like, when did I eat candy? I don't remember
Yeah.
eating candy.
But I've talked to people about these before, and some people who were cigar snobs. I'm like, look, forget. There's just a little bit of sweetness on it. It's not candy apple or grape or whatever or anything like that. It's just a
Right.
little bit of sweetness on the wrapper, but the blend is actually a really nice blend. It's very smooth. It smokes really great. It smokes evenly, and it actually pairs well with brown liquor.
And what I would love to
agree.
be interested to know is if they just dipped the cap, because some cigar makers do this. They'll just dip the cap.
every time I always feel like I'm in a. I know I mentioned this before in a previous episode, but I always feel like I'm in a pipe tobacco store, where I'm smelling the various ones. And specifically, there was an old tobacco that I used to pick up when I smoked a pipe a million years ago and stopped. I think I just.
You're old.
I know. I never got
You
used
do not
to.
look a million years old.
I
I'm
know.
just going to say
You
that.
know?
I know our audience can't see you, but I am standing or sitting right across from you.
I don't like to openly talk about vampirism, but
Hey, what we do in the shadows stays in the shadows.
Nice.
great show. By
All
the
right,
way.
I'm ready to light. You ready to
Yeah,
light?
yeah. Let's
Yeah,
light.
let's
light.
We're talking too much.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk more smoke.
I've got the flamethrower lighter tonight.
Yeah, I've got mine right up here by the mic, too. I want everybody to hear it.
My wife made a comment about that.
I just feel like that adds to the richness of the conversation.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So on that cold draw, I wanted to bring up something that I noticed that I guess I never really had noticed before, but I was feeling a lot of Raisin Bran. It goes away once you light it, but I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Oh my gosh. That's
I'm
funny.
getting raspberry lip smackers.
I'm getting... Y'all remember that lip gloss in the 80s that the girls used to love? It was like strawberry cream or something like that?
Dr. Pepper or bubble gum.
Well, I'm not used to having this much sweet on my palate
Yeah.
when I'm smoking a cigar, so that takes some getting used to.
Yeah, I won't do this to you very often, but Brent knows that this is one of my all-time favorites. I spend a lot of time with that Doble Corona these days when I just want to enjoy what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And but when it comes to this, it's like I'll bounce back and forth between this and probably a Crazy Alice when I need a short smoke. So for those of you who don't know, the Crazy Alice is a very tiny.
It's like the end of a Toro.
Yeah, it's not even a
Toro.
torpedo.
Yeah,
It's-
torpedo, I mean.
Yeah, it's not even a torpedo.
It's
It's
like
just
half.
It's just like a tapered. And
Yeah.
I actually have one in here. I can show you guys later.
Kind of looks like a triangle.
All right. So first impressions, apart from you just stuck your head in a bowl of sugar.
I mean, like everything is sweet right now, so like that is pretty much all I'm getting. As you're so fond of saying, I am getting a hint of tobacco off of the cigar. But right now, the sweet is pretty much overpowering everything from my palate.
Yeah. Like I said, it kind of tapers off as you get into the second third of this. It'll kind of taper off a little bit.
I'm gonna try to swish my mouth out off mic.
That's not a bad idea.
Get my palate going because, well, there's another reason that I'm doing that, and it's extremely selfish. First of all, thank you. We will come back to the cigar and talk about it a little bit later. But now we are moving over to Mr. Brent Williams because it was his turn to pick the bottle. Brent, what did you bring?
So, remember a couple episodes, 2 or 3 episodes ago, we talked about how just by happenstance we're picking things that come out of Texas.
Yeah.
Not on
Yep.
purpose. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
This week, I purposefully went outside of Texas.
Good for you.
I accidentally did it on purpose.
Accidentally on
No,
purpose.
I've actually had this bottle in my cupboard for a while. I'm saving it for the show, actually. Tonight, we're going to travel to a faraway land.
What's it called?
I want you to join me on this journey,
The magical land of.
Oklahoma.
I've
Wait
heard
a
of such a
minute.
place. I didn't think that it really existed, and certainly I didn't think they were making whiskey there.
They are.
Well, I know one place that's making whiskey there,
Mhm.
but this is not my
Yeah.
bottle night. So
Well, yeah, we're going to travel to a magical land a few hours from here called Hochatown.
No.
Yeah, Hochatown.
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 Incidentally, great brewery in that town.
Yes. This is a whiskey or a bourbon that I found, 3 or 4 years ago, I think. We went into town. We went to that brewery. We went to that little speakeasy place.
Yep.
And there was that distillery next door.
Right next door.
Oh yeah, we went to the distillery and did the tasting and stuff. And that's when I found this and just kind of fell in love with it. And every year I go there, I buy a bottle of this.
Oh,
now.
that's great.
Because I was very pleasantly surprised. They are a grain to glass distillery. I did not know that. So they don't have any external liquor or grains or anything. I mean, they control the process from start to finish, completely from scratch.
That's admirable. I'm doing that.
Very nice. The mash bill on this bourbon is 80-10-10. So I think that's one of the reasons it is a very smooth.
Corn barley rye?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very smooth and approachable bourbon. It's got a little.
You could
bit more
walk up
sweetness
to it in a bar and just say hello.
Yeah, how you doing? And anyway, I won't keep talking, but
He's going to keep talking.
yeah, I'll keep talking.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
The Hochatown Distilling Small Batch Select,
All right.
104 proof.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, aged in New American oak barrels.
Oh, no, I'm excited because I have had this one before and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, minimum
Well,
age.
I'm a newbie
Minimum
over
age
here.
is 3 years on
Okay.
this. So if I can get this off, it's got all these seals on it because it's so fancy.
Here it comes.
Here it goes.
Oh, my favorite sound.
It really is a good sound.
There's a little for you. Oh my gosh, I just got a big nose of that when I pulled that cork off. Holy goodness.
Oh, that's 104 proof, all right.
All
Just
right,
burn
man.
the hair out of my nose.
Destroy my
Well.
sinuses.
Let that ethanol burn off a little bit.
Actually, I should think because of your sinusitis, that would actually help you putting your nose way down into that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was actually planning on tilting my head to the side. You pour it in
Party
one
trick.
nostril, and you wait for it to flow out.
It's like a neti
it's a
pot,
neti
but
pot.
with bourbon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's a college student somewhere who's tried that. Well, see if I
All
can
right.
get past the ethanol.
On the nose, what do we got?
Ethanol.
Ethanol. It's a very strong
It,
ethanol.
it smells like rocket fuel, fellas.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But trust me, the taste is there.
I'm-
It's the tasting notes from the distiller are warm copper gold,
I don't see that one
which
very
I've never
often.
tasted metals, so I don't
No,
know.
I did. I like if I wouldn't even do that on a dare.
I mean, you know, if I bite the inside of my cheek and I suck on some blood, I'm like, oh, there's metal.
There's that copper taste.
There's that copper
I
taste.
dislike so much. Well, that's got a warm feeling going down.
Yeah. Okay, we need to remember to hold this one for very cold nights. Oh, feel that? Do you feel it? It's like it's working its way down.
I think
It's like
that
those
that
hands
first
out
sip,
of,
you know.
it's like those hands out of labyrinth that
I
are
think
just like
that
moving
that
you down
first
slowly.
sip just loosens some phlegm I've had since 1987. That's that is definitely a warm.
So drinking is good for you.
I think science has already proven the point on that one. Of course, it's good for you.
Well, definitely your caramels.
Yep. Sweetness. There's a sweetness to it.
Yeah, I was going to say honey, but I disagreed with myself.
Yeah. They say marzipan, I think.
I
Does
think with
anybody-
marzipan would be a little bit more sweeter.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, again, you taste what you taste, right?
Yeah. Tastes
I've said some
Absolutely.
crazy shit on this
I'll
show.
be perfectly honest with you. I'm having difficulty pulling individual notes out of this because I still have that taste of the dead
Still?
in my mouth.
I suggest you take another hit of that so that you can get rid of some of that sweet. Because you are being a real trooper. Oh, there's one thing I would really love for you guys to note. If you take really close look at the ash, you see all those little white bubbles?
Mm-hmm.
Oil pockets.
Yeah.
Nice. Oil pockets. Well, does anybody want to say anything else about the cigar or the whiskey? Because we are off and running, boys.
Well,
We certainly are.
I'm trying to pick out notes. I mean,
Yeah, let's do the. Let's finish
I
those.
honestly think we get through this neat one, and maybe we try it with an ice ball.
I will definitely try mine with an ice ball
Yeah.
because I feel like that's going to help me
Yeah.
with opening stuff up.
I'm going to pass on the ice. I'm really enjoying it for what it is.
You are such a gentleman.
Oh.
Yeah. You see all the hair coming out of his t-shirt?
I don't have a lot,
I
fellas.
just realized that he's wearing a Flynn's Arcade shirt, and
He
it's
is.
done in hair. It's so cool. It's amazing.
That's a nice
That
man
must have
sweater.
taken
you got on
hours,
there.
Michael. Well done.
Why are you wearing a sweater in 90 degrees?
So tonight, folks, just to recap real quick, we have started off with the Fat Bottom Betty cigar, courtesy of Micah. We've now opened the bottle of, is it Hochatown?
Hochatown.
From the Hochatown Distilling Company, which is apparently in Oklahoma. Where in Oklahoma geographically is Hochatown?
Right next door to Broken Bow.
Oh, that's why, because
Yeah.
you guys go to Broken Bow.
And so will you next year.
Well, I certainly
year.
hope so.
Next year.
That'll be next year.
Next year.
Because that already happened, right?
Yep.
So all that remains is the topic of conversation, which was mine tonight.
Get it, Larry.
And, you know, one thing I love to do is talk about controversial subjects. And nothing is more controversial than asking my two very good friends to limit themselves to a grouping of 3. Doesn't matter what those things are, especially when we're talking 80s stuff. Like, if you go back and listen to our 2-parter on 80s tech, we covered so much ground. Brent started a list in episode 1 that went all the way through the 80s. And I do mean all the way. To the point where Micah and I left and took a nap and came back.
I never noticed.
So limiting these guys is so fun. And actually, when I sent them the topic yesterday, Brent immediately texted me back, "Damn you to hell."
Yep.
I said it in my head.
Yeah, I know. But, well, I appreciate that about you, Micah. As you know, Brent has no filter.
Well, this morning, as I was trying to think of my third movie and battling over which of the 2,137 movies I should pick, it brought to mind the death scene.
2,137?
Yes.
Yes.
Those are my
Which, by the
those are
way,
my
since
backup
Brent
lists.
loves to step on everybody's,
Yeah.
thunder, the topic of conversation tonight is...
Oh, crap.
It's not crap. but thanks for blowing it, buddy.
Oh, dang it. I'll edit that out.
I love ADHD. It's
I'll edit that
entertaining
out.
as all hell.
May I have your hand for a moment?
Yeah, slap that shit.
No. No.
Bad Brent. No biscuit.
Bad Brent.
Bad Brent. You have, gentlemen, 3, and only 3 movies from the 80s that you can watch for the rest of your life. What are they? Defend your answers. Now, they have to be movies that were released between 1980 and 1989. No late 70s films, no early 90s films. They have to be firmly in the 80s. And the way we're going to do this is, and I'm going to have Brent go and find us a sound effect. We're going to do it like boxing rounds. We're going to do rounds 1 where we'll each talk about, now they don't have to be in any particular order. They don't have to be least favorite to fave of your 3. They can be whatever they want. I decided to do mine chronologically. That's just how my brain works. We'll do round 1. Everybody will talk about their movie and why. We'll comment on it. Probably there's going to be some debate in here. And I will tell you this, listeners. Micah was actually concerned that we were going to overlap. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I bet you we don't.
Yep.
You know what? And I bet we won't either. I didn't do it on purpose, but the more I started putting my definitive list together,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think that they're going to mention one of these.
There you go. So that I'm going to love. All right, so we're going to go in 3 rounds. We'll do movie number 1. We'll all go around, round 2, and then round 3. I figured we'd do it that way because by the time we're through round 1, we'll want to talk about the cigar again.
That's a good idea.
I know, right?
You're so smart.
I know.
smart.
So, Brent, if you would please give us the bell for the first round. And here we go. Round 1, starting with Micah Donahoe.
All right. I give you my first movie, 1981,
Okay, good start.
Heavy Metal.
Oh!
Okay.
Damn!
Let me tell you why this movie is
Coming
so
out with the big guns.
special. Because I'm very young the first time I've ever seen it. So now I've got
Well, it had boobs in it.
animated boobs.
Animated boobs. Like, does life get any better when you're in your tweens?
Let's just talk about the most
Mike is
badass
like-
warrior of
Mike-
all time, Tarna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Also the hottest warrior of all time.
Hottest warrior.
Mike is like, I didn't know you could draw boobs. That opened up a whole new world for you.
I
didn't it?
know. And where are her panties? Oh, wait, she's putting them on right now.
Yeah.
Now, the notable parts about Heavy Metal. They are stories that are taken from the original magazines that were released. Each one of the stories that it's animated was taken from there. And each one of them has a very creative expression of some sort of a point or a moral it's trying to put on, because you have what's referred to, they only named it once in one of the scenes, the Lochnar, which is the glowing orb.
Okay, that's the orb.
That travels around and tells the story of how not to be a dick.
Yeah.
And it takes you through a fantasy type situation. It takes you through sci-fi. It takes you through World War II. And then top that off with one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
No question.
Yep.
No question. In the 80s, it was hands down. And not just my favorite soundtrack. My buddies Jeffrey Moore and Doug Monique, we all had copies of that on vinyl for our homes, on cassette for our cars, because we did not want to be without the heavy metal soundtrack anywhere we went.
That makes me so happy. And that was when I was first introduced to Don Felder, and my life changed.
Don Fingers Felder.
Wow.
It's too bad he was such a dick that he got kicked out of the Eagles twice.
I know.
But the guy can play guitar.
I know. I felt so bad.
Well, and of course, Sammy Hagar.
But we make our own choices, right?
Indeed, we do. That is. I love that movie. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe I'm not. Ralph Bakshi directed that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So Bakshi, well, because it was that Bakshi style animation of the 80s.
Well, and I know that some of the classic SNL actors and writers also took part in it. John Candy had a role in it.
Yep.
Harold Ramis.
Yep.
Yeah, they played those aliens.
They did, and those guys were actually the Second City guys.
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't Ralph Bakshi, it was definitely in a Bakshi style.
I think it was Ralph Bakshi.
Was any of that movie rotoscoped?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the
Wow, that was a nerd card you just threw down.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually did
Listeners
that in
right
Flash
now are
once.
looking up rotoscope.
Look it up.
Yeah.
They actually used rotoscoping for the aliens and such during the scene when that monster with the horns and the toxic waste transformed them all into.
Yep.
There was definitely rotoscoping in there. I was having to be a little bit careful because my favorite memory of rotoscoping is from a movie called Wizards, and I don't want to get off track,
But that was also a Ralph Bakshi film.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, continue.
Yeah, and if people want to know how Disney did all that amazing animation of people in those old movies like Snow White and stuff, rotoscoping.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, right out of the gate, dude, that's a banger.
Nice.
Heavy
Thank
metal.
you. Thank
1981. All right, Brent, what's your number one?
All right. Well, first I want to complete my thought. This morning when I was trying to pick my third movie, I was reminded of the scene from Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, Khan's death scene,
You have my attention.
where he says, as the Enterprise is trying to get away from him and he's about to explode the Genesis,
I stab at thee.
yes,
tasks
from hell's heart, I
He
stab at thee.
tasks me, and I shall have him.
So that's my mood from this morning when I was trying to pick that third movie.
Oh, is that
Is
one
that
of
the
your
one you're
movies?
going with?
No,
Oh,
it's not.
He is so off kilter tonight.
I didn't say I was picking that movie. I just said it reminded me of that scene because
fair enough. I made the
was
Wizards
like,
comment.
I was like wanting to.
Well, but then he just
Curse.
stopped talking. And I'm like, both of us have to go, and what's your number one, Brent?
Oh, okay. Well, the movie I'm going to start with, and these aren't in any particular order, or maybe this is for me, and this is probably just a gimme. You guys are not going to be surprised at all, but 1980, Empire Strikes Back.
what?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
What's
that one about?
Is that a Star Trek franchise
I'm
movie?
pretty sure it was like a Battlestar Galactica. kind of thing.
Oh,
dude,
yes.
it's
It was
Mary
where the
Poppins.
Cylons strike back
At the Enterprise?
at the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
it's a Mary Poppins movie.
Empire Strikes Back. Well, defend your choice.
Defend.
I don't think I have to defend it.
Oh no.
Is that
no,
why
I
you
mean-
picked it? Because you want to talk as little as you can on a podcast?
Now you're sitting
No,
at a table who are big
that
fans
movie.
of it, so.
Okay, it's no secret if you're a real Star Wars fan. Empire Strikes Back is the best of the original trilogy.
Absolutely, hands down.
Yep, agree.
So, it's kind of my comfort movie, right? If I'm going to be stranded on a desert island and I need some comfort, I'm going to be watching that movie. I'm going to be watching it a lot. And it's also one of those movies that I know well enough that, like, I can have it on when I'm doing other things, right?
Can we talk about the beautiful soundtrack, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
How much it
John
differed
Williams.
from the first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Williams. I mean, come on.
John Williams is the man.
Yeah, I mean,
Nodding.
so, I mean, that's an easy gimme for me. I mean, when the minute I got your text and said, hey, let's do these movies, I'm like, number one. I don't even have to think about it. Number one. The difficult came later on when I'm trying to choose another one.
But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that round later.
Larry, Empire?
No,
Absolutely not.
absolutely not. Not in any of my choices. So if we were going to
Oh, no,
overlap,
no. Just favorite things about it. You know?
Oh my God! Well, I mean, first of all, hands down, I agree with both of you. It was the best of the three, because the main theme was families are complicated, and
Yes.
and like both of you, there you can just quote every scene, every line
Yeah.
of that movie. It was such a formative movie for all of us. whether we, had the hardcore Star Wars love as Brent clearly does, I've seen his house, or not. That was just, that is canon to my existence, right? So I agree. So interesting. So both of your number ones are science fiction films. One is animated, one is live action. Both would be in the category of science fiction. Mm-hmm. Mine actually is not. Now, I'm doing my 3 picks chronologically tonight, not in order of favorites. But the movie that I'm picking for round 1 was released June 20th, 1980, which was weirdly, and I don't want to bring the room down too hard, about 3 weeks before my father died. I was 13 years old. The Blues Brothers.
Oh, fantastic movie.
That movie, in addition to being one of the funniest films of all time.
Definitely.
In addition to being one of the most expensive films for the time it was made because of John Belushi and car crashes, that movie pretty much saved my sanity at the age of 13. I would disappear into that film. I did not see it for its first run at the theater. I actually saw it when it came on Showtime.
All right. Okay.
And then when it came on Showtime, it was on 6 or 7 times a day, usually late at night. And I wasn't sleeping a lot back then.
The typical
I would
80s
watch
formula
the
for
Blues
cable
Brothers.
TV.
It was the first movie musical I had ever watched. So that was a new experience for me.
That's kind of fun to think of it like a musical. I never really did.
It really is a movie musical.
It really is.
There are musical numbers in it.
It is, yeah.
And then my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a music guy, albeit mostly Irish music, but he knew a lot of American music, and all these great, R&B, R&B and jazz stars are in this movie. Aretha Franklin, mm-hmm. John Lee Hooker, Cab Calloway. I mean, there's just so many. And by the end of the 100th time I had watched that movie, all those characters felt like friends. And the theme of getting the band back together is one of my all-time favorite storylines. So that was absolutely, aside from the fact that I could escape for a couple of hours and not have to think about my shitty childhood, it was the idea of getting the band back together. Excuse me. There are so many movies that have that theme, and I love most of them. But that was a big one for me. And the fact that prior to the movie, I used to watch Saturday Night Live as a kid, and I remember very clearly the first time I saw the Blues Brothers, and they introduced themselves as the Blues Brothers. Not John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd are doing a bit. Right. They introduced themselves as Jake and Elwood Blues.
I remember that. I love it.
And it was so funny because that's when they were in those costumes, everyone on set was expected to refer to them as Jake and Elwood Blues. And most of the guys in the SNL band were also the band in the movie. Guys like Lulu Marini, the saxophone player, Tom Bones Malone.
Paul, what's his name, the piano player?
It was Matt Guitar Murphy, Steve the Colonel Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn were the strings, and then Murph. His name was Murph. Murph and the Magic Tones. I can't remember that guy's name.
Paul Schaefer.
It wasn't Paul Schaefer in the movie.
It wasn't?
No. It was not Paul Schaefer in the movie.
Because he was on Saturday Night Live. He was the
band on Saturday Night Live. He was, yeah, but they switched him out.
Huh, okay.
But Paul was not in the movie. Sorry. I think Paul made a cameo in the movie, maybe? I'll have to go back and fact check that one. But anyway, that's my number one, the Blues Brothers. So round 1, we've got Heavy Metal for Micah.
Yep.
Empire Strikes Back, no surprise, for Brent. And for Lair, it is the Blues Brothers.
That actually doesn't surprise me. I mean, because music is your thing. That seems to me.
It is. And I don't even think I knew it at 13.
Yeah,
music was my thing.
It seems to me that would appeal to you, yeah.
Side note, I just want to let you guys know that when I took my final leg of Route 66 up to Chicago, I actually planned my trip where I rode through the south side of Chicago, a little nervously, because I've reasons. And I made it to the bridge they jumped.
Oh yeah,
nice.
I did, and I took a picture of the bridge. That I was like, somebody asked me. They said, "Was the bridge up?" And I'm like, "If it had, I would have jumped my bike."
Car's got a lot of pickup. All right, well, since that's the end of round 1, let's talk about how we're doing on the first third of the cigar, boys. Now, I'm going to say right off, I'm having a problem with the construction because I keep going out.
Yep, I've noticed that.
So I am. I don't think that's happening to either of you.
Mine started off that way.
I've got an uneven burn.
Yeah, I started off that way, but it started to get itself out.
So I'm going to refire and try to get this going so you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so when I'm doing this, it's funny because it's like I told Brent in the very beginning of this. It's like you just like what you like, and it's like, oh, what do you like about it? I don't know, I just like it. But you got to taste it, you got to enjoy it, and he's right. The sweetness tapers off as you get a little bit further in, as it warms up a little bit. And I made the joke about raisins earlier, but I'm not really joking. I mean, because at this point, I mean, there's some heavy dark chocolate, some cola, cherries.
Cola. That's what I'm tasting. Cola.
Cola.
Good one, Micah. Man, your descriptors are getting real good.
I'm getting better. I'm learned now.
I'm learned now. There is something within the smoke of this cigar that is causing me to phlegm way the hell up. So I apologize,
I'm sorry.
3 listeners or 7 listeners, for all the.
It is
it's
15
15?
listeners.
15? Sorry for all the throat clearing. I'm going to try to do more of that off mic so as not to bother you too much. But yeah, I'm definitely having a problem with the burn right now. I've got a decent cut. I'm not getting any tarring, even though I'm having to pull pretty hard. But my mouth is still full of that sweet cola taste. So it isn't. This is not tapered off for me at all.
That actually is very good. I was trying to figure out what that taste was too, and yeah, I have to agree. It's like a cola taste.
All right, now I'm going to refire my cigar. I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm sick of clearing my throat. Brent is going to continue to look cool in his Panama Jack hat.
That's right.
Hey, it's awesome.
Thank you. I got it from a Cuban frame.
But did you do your
Who
Cuba?
lives in Fredericksburg? Finish that story, pal. All right. Okay, so we have been through round 1 and the first third of this cigar. We're still drinking this lovely bourbon from Distilling Company. I'm never going to get tired of saying that name.
Hochatown.
And it is time for Brent, get the bell. Round 2. Here we go. Brent, this time we're going to start with you first.
Number 2. This is one of my most favoritist movies that's not Star Wars. I saw it when I was 11 or 12. I think it came out in 82, I think. It might have been 81. Maybe it's 82. Anyway, I have a question for you, and this is a hint for the movie. Do androids dream of electric sheep?
I know the answer.
I considered this one for one of my picks. I was going to put it in honorable mention, and I am so excited that you brought this up.
Well, you know what I was going to do? And I forgot to do this because of ADHD. This morning I had this idea. I should make a little origami unicorn.
Yes, you should.
And just take it out and set it on the table, and you guys would
Done
know
a
right away.
man's job, sir.
That would have been fantastic.
Well, Brent, don't keep our listeners in suspense. What's the movie?
Oh yeah, it's called Blade Runner.
Yes.
It's like pulling teeth with this guy. You've talked about it for 5 minutes. What's the name of the goddamn movie?
Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer.
Oh,
Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer. Yeah, the Tears in the Rain scene. Come on. That is just, I don't care what genre you're in. That is Rutger Hauer at one of his finest moments.
Agreed. Roy Batty.
Oh,
What
my
a great
gosh.
character.
It was fantastic. He had the moment.
Yeah.
He could have killed him in
Yep.
that moment, but that wasn't the point of that scene.
Yeah.
That was to
I love
deliver the final
he
message.
Talks about, I've
It's
seen
almost like
things
he
that
needed an audience.
I've seen things that your people wouldn't believe, and he talks about, and it's like, it's a very sad moment. I mean, it's, when he talks about all the wonderful things he's seen, right? And he's like, all that's going to be lost to time, like tears in the rain, when he dies. And, man, it's just a powerful scene.
By the way, again, my favorite stand-up comic, Patton Oswalt, does a bit
Yeah.
where at the time his daughter Alice was very, very young, and he was worried that he wasn't going to be able to teach her any real life skills. Like other parents are teaching their kids CPR and how to ride a bike, and he's like, all I've got for you is snacks and Blade Runner trivia. Not sure that's going to get you out of a scrape, but
My favorite, I thought you were going to say this a couple seconds ago, but my favorite line in the whole movie is when Roy Batty is with his creator, and he says, "If only you could see what I have seen with your eyes."
Yeah.
And my head exploded with the.
I just
Yeah.
do eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. such an awesome movie. I mean, of course, and it had Daryl Hannah,
Yep.
an amazing, and Sean Young, of course. I mean, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, come on.
Yeah. Well, I won't debate that at all because that really was a great film. And funny, we've talked about this on this show before. Every dystopian future has people speaking one Asian language or another. So
Usually
the writing
Chinese.
is on the wall, people.
Yeah, usually Chinese.
Go learn Mandarin because
Yeah.
we're going to need it at some point down the road.
Yeah.
According to 80s movies.
You know what I've noticed so far? I mean, I know we're only in round 2 and we just started, but we're not really having to defend our choices very much. We're all like going, "Oh yeah, that's a great
Well,
one."
it is a nostalgia show, so I don't know that there's going to be a lot of fighting going on. I mean,
Well, if Brent pulls out that stuff about, Kelly and Justin again, then that might be a problem.
Yeah. You guys just look like deer in headlights when I said that. You had no idea what
No,
I was talking
absolutely.
I
No
knew
idea
what you were
whatsoever.
talking about. I just
No.
didn't want to dignify it.
this
with
was
a
an
response.
earlier conversation pre-show where Brent said something that was so obscure that even Mike and I were like, "Are you on the same planet right now? Like, where are you, Brent? Come
Most of the
back.
time
We have a
not.
show to do. We need you."
about. Yeah, most of the
All
time.
right,
not.
so round 2, Blade Runner, love it. 1984 was definitely my science fiction era for all you Swifties out there. So I'm going to go with The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension.
No, that sucks. Defend that movie now.
That was just garbage. What the hell? Why do you exist with your bad opinions?
Oh, man. I loved that weird, quirky cult classic because it was an absolute flop at the box office.
Yeah, it totally
And like
was.
so many movies. So, we grew up pretty poor. Didn't get to go to the movies very often. So, again, I did not see The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension on the big screen. I saw it when it came to cable television. And then I couldn't watch it enough.
With you.
I actually learned how to finally use my parents' VCR so I could start recording some of these movies. And that was one of the first ones I ever recorded.
Props.
Peter Weller, Ellen Barkin, a guy who's really had a second act in Hollywood as a voice actor. Oh, God, his name is escaping me. He was Rawhide, and he was also the Highlanders' nemesis. He was the Kurgan.
Clancy.
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown.
Thank you, Clancy
Yeah,
Brown.
yeah, Clancy Brown. He's
Boy,
also
that-
Mr. Krabs.
You want to talk about a guy? You want to talk about a guy who has been in the industry for
Yeah.
a really long time
Yeah.
and just never become a movie star. But I don't think he ever really wanted to be a movie star. But that movie, for me, as I was maybe 16, 17 years old, I thought that physicist / neurosurgeon / adventurer / samurai / rock star, I thought that was an option. That movie made me think I could do all of those things if I applied myself. And Christopher Lloyd with a brilliant turn as one of the red Lectroids from Planet 10.
Wasn't Peter Weller? He was a history professor before he went into acting.
I
right?
don't
that
know
true?
what
Yeah, I
he
think
did before.
he was at least a college
the
professor.
very first time I think I ever saw him was RoboCop.
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever saw
Yeah,
him.
but
so
he
I
did
had no
a,
idea who he was
he
or
did-
what
he
Well,
he
I
did
did.
a
take that back.
series-
I saw him in Buckaroo Banzai first and then RoboCop, but I never made the connection.
Yeah.
He did a series. It was either History Channel or Discover or something, but he was doing a historical series too.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I believe he was. I'm not sure if he was a history professor, but I believe he was a college professor before he got into acting.
Well, he was a guy too who had a really stretched out career and almost like a second act. And the show that gave him a second act, in my opinion, was Sons of Anarchy, where he played in the later seasons. He played a crooked cop.
Yes.
And played it really well too. And then also he was in a series that I think was originally on Netflix called Longmire.
Okay.
So it was like a sheriff in a Wyoming
Yeah.
town, and he was the retired sheriff that the guy kept going to for advice, crusty old cowboy.
Yeah.
But that movie was just so awesome. And then I love the fact that they're sort of poking fun at the whole like pop culture bit because he does all of the, Buckaroo Banzai does all these things. He's, got a tour bus. He's got all of his guys like Mr. Perfect and Rawhide, and he's got his crew with him who also just happen to be badasses who are adventurers and carry guns and do all this stuff. And then you had the Banzai irregulars much like Sherlock Holmes, the Baker Street Irregulars,
Yeah.
who were just people that helped out on adventures sometimes. And I love the end scene where they give the kid an M9. Like, you just handed a kid, like a 9-year-old, an assault rifle and told him to go fight aliens. That's pretty awesome. By the way, I saw your look. I can't not finish that cigar.
It's
not
okay.
because of the taste, but because of the construction.
No.
I've pulled out my backup.
That was not a judgy look. That was a
Yeah, I don't
sympathizing.
want you to be disappointed.
Not
I'm
at all.
glad I tried it. All right, so for round 2, we've got Blade Runner, Buckaroo Banzai. Hit us, Micah. What do you got?
All right. My
He's
next
going
one
back to
is
his
going to
phone.
be 1982
Okay.
Tron.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh man,
I
that's a
knew
good one.
I knew it.
Well,
You did.
Well, you've talked about this movie on almost every episode we've
Yeah,
done.
I do. I bring it up
And
quite
you
a lot.
bring that shirt all the time, Flynn's Arcade, for those of you who don't
and
know.
I was debating. I was sitting there looking at it. I was thinking to myself, have I worn Flynn's Arcade to recording
pretty
before?
much every single time.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. So Tron, 1982. At this time, I am a heavy frequenter of classic arcades. I mean, it is the heart of the 80s. When you are playing a video game, you are becoming that character.
Right.
You are absorbing it. You are It was arguably my first role playing experience ever, and this is before I got into pen and paper. And I was so excited about this movie when it came out because this was also one of the first forays into heavy computer graphics when
Yep.
it came to, if not one of the first.
One of the first, yeah. And that was the big thing about the movie was, they weren't great computer graphics, but they were amazing for the time.
Well,
when it came out, it was
the
absolutely
trailer
amazing,
actually,
yeah.
like the voiceover in the trailer, talked about that.
Yeah.
It's like coming soon to
And
your,
yes, and that was
And
a theme of the 80s, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the first Superman movie, but that was late 70s. But they did the same thing. You will believe a man can fly.
Right.
They were using that in their trailers to
Yeah.
further. But anyway, I don't want to get off topic. So you've got a wonderful story about this. Now, what's really funny about this is that Flynn lives in an apartment above a very profitable arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And side note, when I took my first leg of Route 66, I rode to California and back. And when I got there that Wednesday, I ended up spending time hitting movie locations all over LA and surrounding areas. And I went up to the location where Flynn's Arcade was and just laid my hand on the building, probably for a good 2 solid minutes. There is some strange guy outside of this building with his hand on the wall.
dude, you were in LA, nobody noticed.
Probably not.
Nobody noticed.
And
They
it's like-
they
they just
thought you were taking a
leak.
piss.
And at
Yeah.
the time, I wasn't. Yeah, you're probably right. At the time, I was not concerned about whether somebody was looking at me or not because I was absorbing every moment of
hallowed
this.
ground.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy has his own arcade. It was packed. I mean, the arcade was packed full of people, and he's complaining about the only money I make off this place is what I pulling quarters out of the machines. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Kevin Flynn, man, I would have your life in a heartbeat if I
Right?
could have it. If arcades were still profitable, that would be me with that massive couch in his office, just badass. But it was also an exploration into relationships and how they translated between the the real world and the digital world, and to see the actual representation of that character used as the program they wrote, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Even down to the old man who started the company that
Yeah.
Dillinger, and I forgot his name. Damn it, I'm not a true fan, I guess. But Dillinger threatened him. He's like, this used to be great when we were doing this stuff in our garage, and he's like, well, that can be arranged. And
Right.
shoot, I forgot his name. But anyway, when you get into the digital world and you see the classic Guardian program,
Yeah.
that his program has been stashed into a corner and not used anymore, and he was actually the Guardian.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fantastic because the representation of the different characters and the age of the program they created, the autonomy of the Tron program working its way around the system,
Yeah.
getting rid of real problems, is basically Norton, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember the
Antivirus.
video game. I remember I used to play that video game all the
Yeah.
time, and it was maybe one of the first video games based off a movie that I'd ever played.
Yeah.
And and again, you go back and look at it now. You know, the graphics weren't great, the sound wasn't great, but but you had different control. You had a joystick, but you also had a knob.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And you had to use them all.
Yeah.
And you had the light cycle race, and you had to like fight your way through the spiders.
Yep.
And there was all these great ones. Now, since you are such a big fan of Tron,
Yeah.
I have to ask you this question because I've watched that movie a baker's dozen times. When the remake came out, I would not go see it. I refused
It wasn't a remake.
to go see it.
It was a continuation.
Oh, it was a
Yeah.
continuation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a sequel.
Well, in that case, probably I should watch it. Oh,
I
it's
would
got a
definitely
really
agree.
big
So I think
splinter
that I
on my
know
finger.
exactly what your question's going to be. So I was there opening day, first showing.
Okay.
Now, I will. That's my claim to fame. I'm not one of those people that do the midnight showings. I never really was.
Well,
So I didn't show up on that, but I was there opening day, first showing of Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy. I
And,
should have known.
and
It
I
wasn't
was,
a remake.
and still am, a huge fan of it because that just went further into the evolution of the grid. One of my favorites.
So-
And the
so
music.
you liked it.
Huge. Oh, but not just Legacy, but the original Tron movie. The music, the 80s music that's all in the background, it's really far in the background, but there's a lot of Journey. And I dig Journey.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm a big Journey fan.
so there's not only that, but you'll notice that's playing primarily in the over the loudspeakers in the arcade, and then there is a song in the credits that they do. But there's something about the soundtrack, the digital soundtrack to the original Tron movie that just lights my fire. And I can listen to it over and over again. I've got ringtones I've been creating since they had cell phones, and I downloaded my MIDIs to create and then I after that I got in there and I started creating ones from the actual movie. I just loved it.
Very cool. So that was a good round two, boys. We have Blade Runner, Buckaroo Banzai, and Tron, which I find it interesting that, well, no, I don't find it interesting. It makes absolute sense. I have a feeling on round three that it's going to be more of the same because we're nerds and this is the genres that we love. I may be surprised.
You're going to be surprised.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Now, I have had to put down my Fat Bottom Betty because I had a construction issue with it, and it was and I just couldn't keep it lit. But we're in the middle of your cigar now, boys, and that is the one we're highlighting tonight. So talk to me about it.
Yeah, Brent, go.
Yeah, the sweetness is greatly tapered off. Still kind of get that cola taste though.
Yep.
That's pretty consistent.
And I mean, it's the cola, the cherry, the raisin. I even have to say it. I'm hesitant to say any kind of woodsy like situation, but grains. And I'm definitely. I mean, we made a raisin bran joke earlier, but I'm getting some bran. I'm getting
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes. You know what? You're not wrong.
Great.
You're not wrong.
How we doing on the bourbon, boys? You enjoying the bourbon? You know what? I never did get an ice ball.
It's right there.
Well, it's behind.
I'm still enjoying it, and
behind.
something that I said earlier that our audience, if you leave it in, will hear me say again. Everything is kind of tapered off. I think that the burn, the burn that you get off of this has mellowed just a little bit for me. It's almost like I've acclimated to the burn.
Oh, that's so much better.
and
Yeah.
after the
that's so much better with some ice in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's smoothed it out. It
Yeah.
just it sanded down the rough edges.
But
That-
besides
the
the heavy
ethanol burn
amounts
is gone.
of caramels continuing to flow
Yeah.
through this, is a lot of cayenne pepper because I get that spice on the back end.
Well,
that
it's
just
got
goes,
that 10%.
bam!
Yeah, it's got that 10% rye in it. But with the 80% corn, it is. It's definitely the sweetness has really opened up since I put my ice in there. Yeah, it's pushed out the harsh ethanol burn, and now it's letting me get more flavors.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet.
I'm still digging it neat. So
Yeah.
I really
You like it how you like it.
like how I
Yeah.
like it.
All right, boys. We've talked about the cigar. We've talked about the whiskey. We had a great round two. Can't wait for round three. Brent, give me the bell. Except that we're not going to round three because, shocker, we've run out of time again. We are three wordsy dudes, and we accept that about ourselves. So we are now going to make 80s movies a 2-part episode, and you just reached the end of part 1. Hope you enjoyed it. We are going to pick it up again next week, right where we left off, going on to round 3. And of course, there's no way in hell we could all just only pick 3 movies, so there's probably going to be some bonus rounds and other conversations about the movies that we love that didn't make it onto the top 3 because Larry's a meanie and he's making us only choose 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe at nerdherfers.com, and we will see you, or hear you, or something next week. This has been a production of Nerdherfers, copyright 2024, all rights reserved. No portion, and I do mean no portion of this broadcast may be used without permission. Please visit nerdherfers.com for more information and full legal disclaimer, you nerd.